In the previous episode, in fact, for some reason, I've got this strange impression that I might be intruding on something if I elect to remain. Welcome back, everybody. In the previous episode, we saw the scandalous revelation in the ballroom through Becca's perspective, and now we are cheering Luke up. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
You know, brooding over here isn't going to fix this mess.
Bom. Yay. Honestly, Luke, we're besties with Luke by Isabella. Luke's my new bestie.
Again with the lecture.
Will you stop calling it that?
Very well, what should we call this then? A heart-to-heart? Please don't, I might puke. And just so you know, I don't want to talk about feelings. Ever.
This isn't one, all right? It's just a friendly concern. Bloody hell, can't you just take it for what it is?
He pauses at that. Suddenly, he doesn't know what to do with his hands, and in the end, he simply stuffs them back into his pockets and sulks. There probably aren't many people who tell him that. He's a difficult man to get along with after all. I honestly won't give him a second of my time if I didn't see a different side to him. Dealing with him requires more than patience. When the awkwardness passes, mostly coming from him, he merely glances away. But the tightness in his shoulders has eased, and when he speaks again, despite his rather rude choice of words, none has any venom in it.
Friendly concern, right. While we're at it, I should mention that Hana used to call that Viper friend. Now I think she might want to strangle the Munta if she sees her again. After she's done with me, of course.
I doubt she's going to do anything like that.
What do you even know about this?
Oh, I know enough. You may look like a sleazy douche, and you still are, by the way.
It's almost comical how fast his face shifts from mild disdain to offended, but I don't let it distract me. These things need to be said, and he needs to hear them. Even though they're coming from some meddling stranger. I mean, Luke read to her some hard truths, so now it's Becca's turn.
But you have your few good moments. I might even say that you're a decent person, if I'm in the mood. Now go. If you really love her, you've got to try and fix this yourself.
Maybe tomorrow.
Luke.
Daisy, did you see her earlier? Was that the face of a wife who wants to have a chat with her cheating husband?
Well, at least you admitted you did something wrong. Good for you. How about a star? Would you like a star to go with that good deed?
Don't get used to it. Do you realize how awkward this is?
Oh, I do.
Before I've even thought about what to say, I've known there can only be two ways this can go. All things considered, it isn't as bad as I've assumed. However, there are still some things my brand of encouragement can't fix. His marital problems, first and foremost, his attitude follows right after. Concerns aside, I can't help with those. Those are things he can only fix. It's definitely not by standing around here bantering.
Don't worry, I was just about to leave. Feel free to continue with your brooding once I'm gone. I'm not going to tell anyone. Cross my heart.
You think this is funny, Daisy?
He's blushing. Laughter is the only response I give him. With a slight wave of my TLDR, stop sulking, give Luke unsolicited advice. With a slight wave of my hand, I end it right there and walk away. Although I can't resist the urge to glance back before I leave, if only to have one last look at the man he really is. But the instant I turn my gaze to him, I see it. Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Like the first time I've stepped inside this place in search of Isabella. He was there too, wasn't he? That man, along with his wife and another person, Miss McCulloch? And that shadow? No. A woman now. Her, no longer a dark blur. Terror rushes through every vein in my body. A crippling sensation gripping every part of me, while she stares at me with a glare filled with nothing but hate and venom. It's like staring at the eyes of a woman I've unknowingly robbed of something precious. I try to say something. A warning? But before I can gather my wits and voice it out, someone shuts the door behind me. As if to keep outsiders away from the secrets this mansion possesses. Friday, October 28th. As she was about to leave the party, Rebecca caught sight of a sulking Luke. She reminded him that brooding wouldn't fix anything and that he should be with his wife instead. Before leaving the embarrassed man, Rebecca caught a glimpse of a shadow standing behind him. The brush of fresh air against my cheeks does little to dampen the chill in my bones. By now the sensation, the fear and disquiet it leaves whenever I see her is familiar enough for me, already is made a home in my nerves. I don't even notice my trembling hands until I cross my arms across my chest. The cold from the tips of my fingers seeps through the thick material of my shirt. Neither of it helps to bring together some semblance of coherent thought in my head. But I know I should.
Someone has to tell that douche.
I start walking back before fear can cripple me again. It's not wise. Returning, that is, especially after what happened. But Hannah is still an old friend, and Luke doesn't deserve whatever misfortune that letter might bring. I can't just leave those two in there. Isabella's right. She's real, and there's something she wants from everyone who has read that.
Becca, where'd you go off to?
If you're done here, let's go. I'll get you back to the city.
My mistake, the second his voice cuts through the crisp night air, is that I've allowed my annoyance to get the better of me. Fuming, purpose forgotten, I whirl around and march towards him. One accusation after another piles up at the tip of my tongue, ready to be hurled at any moment. There's no hesitation holding me back when I fling it at him. That straight face he keeps as I do so doesn't help temper my anger either. It only makes me want to slap some more sense into him.
Shouldn't I be the one asking you that?
Becca, I've been waiting here the whole time. I told you I hate parties like...
Wait, you didn't say the full thing. Becca, I've been waiting here since the whole time since that mess in the hole. I told you I hate parties like...
And before that, where have you been the entire evening?
Right then and there, I might have forgiven him if he'd shown some ounce of remorse for leaving me like that. I mean, technically he was never with you if he was avoiding you the entire time. Maybe he could have looked away, given me a sign that my assumptions might be right. He doesn't even need to put them into words. A single gesture of confirmation is all I need. Rather, what I get is the same impassive look. He does that whenever he can't disclose anything. He does that whenever he's lying. In the face of it, amidst the thick tension, a frustrated huff is the only thing I can summon.
Be that way. Fine. Suit yourself.
No more words. After everything I've seen and heard tonight, I'm already too exhausted for those. So, without speaking any further, I simply walk past him and stomp over to his car. Although before I can pull open the door, he calls out, one hand outstretched, a gentle weight on my shoulders.
Wait, Becca.
He pauses, his brows furrowing and lips curving into a slight frown. I'm just going to check their relationship quickly. It's okay. It's okay. I can almost see the gears turning in his head while he tries to piece together everything he wants to say. Before, perhaps, I might have waited patiently for those. He's not a man fond of using words to express himself. More often than not, any gesture of honesty will only come out blunt and coarse when forced. But today, for one reason or another, I simply can't summon that forbearance.
Ashton, if you're just going to waste my time again...
Becca, listen. I don't know how else...
That much is obvious. Why don't you just take the whole bloody night? Go on. I can wait until next year. Better yet, why don't you just keep it all to yourself like you always do? It's not like...
Rebecca, will you hear me out first?
The silence I can offer him, but whether I'll believe what he's about to say is still up for debate. A very long debate.
I honestly don't know how else to put this.
I love you.
I'm aware your parents have some kind of history with Hannah Wright, and somehow you're friends with her. But you should stay away from these people for now. Especially the husband.
Too late for that. We're besties.
Who? Luke?
His expression deepens into a scowl at my mention of the name, but whatever opinion he has, he doesn't immediately voice. Still, something about this has greatly displeased him, evident in the stiff note his tone assumes.
Yeah, he's bad news.
It's my turn to frown this time. What does he mean by that? Okay. What are we thinking? Do we want to be positive with Ash, or do we want to be negative with Ash? What are we thinking? So basically, I'm thinking, if I get Ash's bar high enough, we will fall in love. If I get Ash's bar low enough, maybe Ash will fall in love with Isabella or something, blah blah blah. But like, I don't think Becca and Ash should be together. I'm gonna say it. Like, if Ash liked her that way, he probably would have made a move sooner, surely, right? Come on, bro. Fuck you, Ash.
Care to explain your reasons?
Balls. I will live with that choice. I've not meant for it to sound as harsh as it does, but anger and frustration have never been a good match in me, particularly in nights like this. It's not surprising when Ashton jerks back as if I've struck him. For a fleeting moment, something akin to hurt darts across his features, his eyes narrowing and hands closing in tightly into a fist at his sides. Then, swiftly, he glances away and shifts his focus on the line of trees nearby, like an answer can be gleaned from the dark expanse.
I'm really sorry, Becca.
What is this for? For the party? The vague answers he continues to give? Does it include all those times before this? The year's worth of it? I don't doubt its sincerity. However, at the moment, the forgiveness he's asking isn't something I'm all too willing to hand, furious as I am. It's frankly a wonder how I can keep myself from raising my voice at him.
We'll talk about this tomorrow, and you better have a proper answer for me by then.
There's a brief hesitation before I step away, a short moment of wanting to say more, of waiting if he has anything to add. He's only silent, eyes still trained at a distance. It is the last glimpse I see of him before I climb into his car. If the door slams close with the same force as the anger I'm holding, its sound merely vanishes into the night unnoticed. I really struggle with that sentence. Friday, October 28th. Rebecca found Ashton waiting for her upon exiting the mansion. Irked because he was nowhere to be found during the entire party, she demanded to know what was going on. When he couldn't give her an answer, Rebecca warned that they'd still talk about it some other time. He follows soon after, and shortly we're on our way back to the city. Yet, even with the city's bright lights welcoming us, the dense, somber air from the mansion still lingers. The moon is almost at its highest by the time we reach Salem Well. Even after our respective heads have cooled off, the atmosphere within the car remains rife with unspoken tension. This isn't a problem so easily fixed with a few handshakes. Quite frankly, I don't know what will. Ashton himself has no idea what to do when he alights and dawdles awkwardly in the middle of the car park on shore. It almost seems like he's having an internal debate whether he should say goodbye or mutter another apology. I could have driven him away purely out of spite the second I've gotten off. Still, old habits die hard. It's late and Ashton's flat is on the other side of the city. Irritation might still rear its head every time I look at him right now, but I'm not too cruel to put up with him on another long drive. Especially when he still appears as if he hasn't gotten any rest.
You can borrow the couch.
I throw the keys to the flat his way before protest forms on his lips. Although he catches it with ease, he eyes it with a wary expression and shoots a puzzled glance my way.
You haven't been forgiven. We're still going to have that talk, believe me. But I'm not about to send you out on another drive looking like that. It's late. Go get some rest.
We're setting aside a lot of loose ends like this, but he appears to have accepted that reason, at least in the meantime. He does give me another questioning glance when I shove past him, pulling my mobile in the process.
Where are you going? I thought...
You go ahead upstairs. I need to contact Professor Andrew.
Andrew? Why would you... Oh, no. Please.
Oh, okay. So because we chose the priest on Isabella's story, now Becca's choosing the professor now in her story.
Is this that thing Isabella said this morning? Again?
Give me 1 second. Just looking at Becca's story, this will probably be the last episode.
I already gave her my word, Becca. I'll look into this BRC crap. No need to drag the old guy into it.
Of course, he's still skeptical. It makes one wonder if he's ever seen anything at all. Figures his curse will stay away from the scoffer. But this is another loose end tonight that I just can't leave alone, Ashton's beliefs notwithstanding. It just so happens that it's one I can delve into using means other than taking a look at the mansion itself.
Ashton, do you really think I still give a shite after that stunt you pulled tonight?
No, but this is...
I've spent so many years with him to know that this is about to turn into another argument. Before he can finish it, I cut him off with a firm raise of my hand.
Look, I don't care. There are weird things happening around here. And yes, it's Isabella's brand of weird. Ghostly voices, strange sounds, and a bloody woman sitting at the back of my car. You don't have to believe me. And I no longer have the patience to convince you, so just leave me be, Ashton.
He doesn't push it, growing quiet instead, although I know he has a whole case of it prepared inside his head. But there's a reluctant shift in his movement when he steps away from our conversation. Short of climbing the stairs, he stops, turns to face me with an expression almost too... conflicted?
Are you really sure?
What?
That there was something? That you've been, seeing things?
Yes, I'm very, very certain. Now go, and you better not break anything in there. The last time I let you stay over, it was that statuette Belle gave me. You haven't even replaced that one.
The last of my reprimand goes both unheard and unanswered as he disappears behind the stairs. Behind the stairs? They live downstairs? If things aren't as strained, he might have a quip or two about that, followed by a light banter. Instead, for a long moment, I am left staring after him. There's something in the way he asked it that nags. Coupled with his expression, the whole exchange just feels unsettling. Oh, that scared me. One that doesn't fade even as I gather my thoughts and shift my focus on another, even as I dial Professor Andrew's number. Isn't it like 8 p.m? And that's when it clicks. During the long wait for the professor, one stray thought emerges from the unease. Ashton has not intended first question to be a jibe. It's concern. For what, though? For my well-being? The letters curse? Name of the game. The woman I mentioned? The answers for those will have to wait, however. Finally, the call connects and Professor Andrew's voice echoes from the receiver.
Professor Andrew?
Rebecca? It's late. What can I do for you?
I know, I'm sorry, but this is a bit urgent.
After all, this is a more pressing matter. Our lives might be at stake and we're still in the dark.
Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you to do me a favor.
Oh. October 30th, Sunday. I think this is the furthest we've ever gotten in like, the days. Yeah, the only thing that's happened on Sunday was Ash calling him. Okay, so the party has happened and Zach goes to warn Luke and Hannah. Hannah's not there because she went to go and stay in the penthouse. Professor Andrew Clark has agreed to meet with me 2 days later in front of Luxbourne's public library. He has other commitments, but being a long-time family friend has its perks. I have my parents' connections to thank for that. Of course, I'm not the sort to impose on him often, but the situation is... well, it's not entirely bad, although it does require calling in a few favors from friends like him. Without his signature, I won't be able to gain access to the library's restricted section. If I want to get more in-depth information on the Ermengarde mansion, that is, not simply what they chose to show to the general public. As much as I hate to admit it, there's always something people censor, and whatever it is, I won't ever find it in the general section. It has to be what they're keeping here, beyond the public eye. Why would it be in the public library then? Like, wouldn't they keep it in, like the council offices or something? The government offices? The thought of that alone makes me antsy. Thankfully, I don't have to brood over it. The wait for the professor doesn't last long. He never did enjoy making people wait. Likewise, he dislikes people who are tardy. He arrives 5 minutes after I do, greeting me with that kind smile and casual wave of his hand. I haven't seen him in so long, but it appears he hasn't changed much. His familiar presence alone is enough for a fond smile to spread across my face.
Professor Andrew.
Rebecca, didn't I say long ago you can drop the professor?
You know I can't possibly do that. Even if I can. It feels disrespectful to call you by your name alone.
Both you and Ashton never listen to this old man. Kids these days.
All right. But just for today, since you're doing me a huge favor, Andrew.
I guess you simply can't have it all, even at this old age. But pleasantries aren't what we're here for, yes? You mentioned you needed a permit.
Yes, sir, if that's okay with you.
More than fine. Anything in pursuit of knowledge, as they say.
He hands me the permit without further prompting. And just like he promised, he's also written a recommendation after his signature. This is more than enough to get me to those files. I mutter small thanks before slipping it into my pocket. Although when I look back up, his brows are furrowed, the very face of curiosity. Not surprising considering how vague I've been during our little talk over the phone. Right then and there, I've decided to tell him if he ever asks. Maybe not all of it, but the stuff he needs to know. It's the least I can do to thank him. As expected, true to his inquisitive nature, he asks.
If you don't mind, though, I know you've always been an eager learner. But may I know what in the restricted section that piqued your curiosity?
When I was younger, I never knew that was how you spell peaked. So when I would read, I would always say picade.
It's the Ermengarde mansion, sir.
He's quick to raise an eyebrow at that, and for a while, I fear he'll take the slip of paper back. Is there something in what I said?
The ones they have out in the general isn't enough?
I'm, hoping for a more in-depth read, sir. More about the history and the people who once lived there. The general section doesn't have anything much on that.
Oh, I see.
I see a lore dump.
Well, you certainly aren't the first one to be enamored with that place. It doesn't shock me. The architecture is admirable. and the urban legends are something to talk about.
I think enamored might be a little too much to describe our interest in it, but I have to agree. The mansion is beautiful, even with the renovations. They kept the stained glass windows, too. They are magnificent.
Oh, you've seen it.
I was there for a few hours to attend a housewarming party. The invitation was for my parents, but they couldn't make it. My mum used to work as a private tutor for the Evans. Hannah Wright?
Ah, I know of her. Her husband, too. Who doesn't? Luxborn's most popular couple.
Something falls behind his eyes, the warmth in them suddenly gone, like he's reliving a painful distant memory and seeing it all play right in front of him. I was gonna say, he's jaded. It disappears almost as soon as it surfaces, but that look has unsettled something in me.
Is something the matter?
Nothing much. But you know, you're already like a daughter to me. So if you could, do be careful with the friends you make.
Dun dun dun.
Is this about the rights, sir?
Just a friendly advice from an old man. Don't think much about it. Anyway, I have to leave now. Can't miss my weekly serving of bear claws. Say hi to your parents at the detective inspector for me, will you? I wish you luck with all that research.
I will. Thanks for this, Andrew.
Andrew gives my shoulder a light squeeze, the gesture a young gummy has always appreciated, and quickly crosses the street after. I watch him until he disappears behind the door to a cafe, until the doubts swimming inside my head find the moment of rest. Whatever his business is with the rights isn't anything I should concern myself about. But somehow, in the grand scheme of things now, all of it feels oddly relevant. The how, though, I've yet to find out. And I'm hoping the library will give me the answers I want this time. On a gloomy Sunday morning, the library seems especially empty. The second floor in particular. I've always considered this place to be a sanctuary, a respite away from the hubbub of the city. As a child, I grew up reading books here, spending hours here to no end, poring over the pages, living out fantasies in my head until my parents called me home. Now it feels nothing like it. The silence is smothering, suffocating, even with how clean they've kept the microfiche room, how the entire smell of it lacks a speck of dust or clutter. Breathing is a struggle for air. Not far into my stay, I begin to long for the noise outside, and perhaps as a way to calm this unease, I start to hum a tune. Oh, please don't be London Bridge. Imagine that. Please don't be London Bridge. Oh. Why of all things has it to be the silly nursery rhyme? I've not an inkling. It does its job, however. It fills the lull with something far less awkward, far less deafening, and that is enough for a distraction. I have business here. No time for silly daydreams, only important work to attend to. Even if there is a possibility of it being fruitless, by some means it feels like I have to do it, if not for me, then for the people who have been afflicted by this, what do we even call this? A curse? A haunting? A Halloween prank gone wrong? A curse? If Isabella were here, what would she say? Right, do we think we're going to kill Becca in the library? It was the ghost in the library with the candlestick. Will she panic? Will she be angry I only listened to her now? It all stems from that one moment in the movie house, doesn't it? We could have avoided this had we only taken her warnings to heart. One stupid mistake is all it took to send our normal lives on a downward spiral. Frankly, I'm no longer sure if I'm angry at myself for it, or at the universe for throwing us into this mess. But we can only make do with what little we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Going here might not make the right decision, but it's a start.
A good start.
It doesn't take much time for me to find what I need. A microfiche of old newspapers long kept in special storage cabinets at the far end of the restricted section. The year is 1620s and beyond, before the city of Luxbourne even exists in the records, when the mansion has just been built, and the Anselm is nothing more but a small sleepy hamlet near a river. A lot of pieces are missing, days, sometimes several consecutive weeks without any records remaining. Often it goes on for years. Troublesome, but as it is, I'm lucky enough to find anything at all considering how far I'm looking back. Can't be picky now. Can't waste time mulling over what record keepers of the old could have done to make this a breeze for me. Did newspapers even exist in the 1620s?
I can still work with this.
The faint whir of the am I saying this wrong? Is it microfiche or microfiche? Machine keeps me company as I go over each slide, each image, hoping for something that goes beyond what the local lore knows. There are snippets, little mentions of the family that once settled in the house here and there. The usual singing of praises for the couple who helped brought up what was once a tiny settlement into a buzzing town. Nothing substantial, nothing I didn't know before. It continues on like this for a good while. I'm gonna save. I've almost run out of save space. until I come by the years after their deaths. The people of Anselm might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Ermengarde, mourning their passing, and held them in high esteem in the years after. But it was their daughter that was remembered fondly by the townspeople. If her parents built this town, Lady Charlotte was the one who made it prosper. Remarkable considering it was a period of recovery from a bout of plague that killed half the town's population, including her parents. Buried history, dig deeper in the Ermengarde's mansion's past. What's surprising, though, apparently her time also marked more than superficial changes to the place. Free at last, Eyre puts a stop to local slave trade. She moved things, changed laws, altered old customs and traditions. If they were done on a woman's whimsy, it doesn't say, but she seemed capable enough for more than that. The gist of it is the town she rebuilt is what eventually grew to become Luxbourne City, while the nearby Anselm village remained as it was, a relic of the old. A frown swiftly forms in my face.
So, why is there a need to hide this?
One by one I try to recall every lesson I've gone through, every book, paper and journal I've read. None of those ever mention this. It's always the lord and the lady of the house, their endearing child, always an afterthought to those anecdotes, the one who always took her life in the end. Never someone who restored the town from the brink of collapse or brought new ideas to it. Is it because she's a woman?
That pisses me off.
Granted, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, not all aspects of her can be considered admirable. But this is history, some parts are bound to naturally delve into unpleasant territory whether I like it or not. Witch hunts, for example, became common near the end of her life. Luxbourne witch burns, which would have been completely unremarkable and might have gone to become a mere footnote in history if it didn't involve Lady Charlotte and the very slave she saved. It caused quite a stir, enough to leave almost a week's worth of clippings. The girl was eventually burned, condemned by an entire town, at the word of Lady Charlotte alone. But this doesn't really have anything to do with this curse, does it? Well, obviously, okay, hear me out. Ahem. The slave girl was a slave to Lady Charlotte, and she was abused by Lady Charlotte, which we saw in the after death of Zack. And to hide the fact that she was being abused, they burnt her at the stake, claiming she was a witch. And as her dying words, she cursed Lady Charlotte to, like, never die or something like that. And Lady Charlotte becomes the evil ghost who's trying to kill everyone because she's actually a bitch. Unless that woman following us and this slave are the same person. No, Lady Charlotte is the ghost. Because one time the ghost was flickering, and it was flickering between the ghost and a lady with curly blonde hair. A tale of revenge? How cliché. However, with the lack of accurate photographs, it's impossible to tell. Maybe if I squint, the illustration would start resembling her. But in my field, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. I'll be the laughingstock of the community.
This isn't going anywhere.
Mentally exhausted, I take a careful step away from the screen, pressing a palm to my tired eyes. The lack of ample light in this area doesn't help. A headache already threatens to form at the back of my head, yet I'm nowhere near figuring things out. This is simply too much to take in all at once.
I should have asked for someone's help.
Now I'm at a dead end. I start gathering everything around me and placing them back in their respective envelopes for storage, the motions no longer new after volunteering here a number of times. I didn't make much of a mess anyway, considering the lack of materials available to begin with. I'll have to look somewhere else. The where remains unknown, though. But just as I'm about to slip the last of the slides in, something catches my attention. My hand pauses, the microfiche halfway through its protective sleeve. This is the one of the few I've set aside without taking a careful look at. It seems like a gossip column at first glance, but upon closer look, I slide it back into the reader, gently turning the dials in search of the page. It takes some time, but once the image becomes clear, Ermengarde Eyre announces betrothal. They must have had this drawing commissioned for the announcement. I don't doubt it. The details are far more intricate, their likeness slightly closer to how they might have appeared at the time. They're both recognizable this way, closer to the paintings I've seen in the mansion. However, it's the man standing beside her, Edward Godfrey, according to the article, that has caught my attention previously. Her first cousin, and eventually her fiancé. Maybe it's the posture, the manner in which he holds himself, or maybe it's the shape of his eyes, though I can't be too certain about it until I've gotten a better reference. Nevertheless, there is a resemblance. He looks eerily like... My head snaps up, glowering at whoever's running in the floor above. No one. Any day I'd march upstairs and reprimand whoever it is, but I'm on the top floor.
This is a library, for heaven's sake.
But now isn't the time. I've gotten what I need. Without wasting another minute, I hit the machine's print button for a copy of the page, while my other hand moves to put everything back into storage. A ragged exhale slips from me. Relief perhaps, or maybe this is already exhaustion. Regardless, soon I'm closing my eyes as I wait for the printer to finish, if only to stave off a headache building up from everything. Becca keeps getting headaches every time the ghost visits. Okay, we'll do this first. With the help of Professor Andrew Clark, Rebecca was able to gain access to Luxbourne Library's restricted section. In there, she discovered numerous accounts about the Ermengardes, all hidden from the public. Her research was interrupted, however, when... Sometime, I've even began humming the same song again, for comfort. Despite my doubts about this, despite all the tension in my shoulders, this may be a small find, but at least I can start somewhere. We can start somewhere. There's a way out of this. I know it. The printer splutters to a halt. However, its sound isn't what makes me snap my eyes open. Time to save! A feeling, a chilly brush of air behind my back. Brief enough for something sickening to suddenly lodge itself in my throat while I take in my surroundings. It's that suffocating sensation again, creeping to every part of me, crawling under my skin, draining me little by little of any strength. From that day in the mansion, from that brief moment at the school, without delay I grab the papers and make a quick beeline for the door. Ah, that scared me! My whole body freezes.
What are you doing, Miss Pink?
I hold my breath, not daring to make any noise. For a little while, only the sound of papers crumbling under my grasp filled the room, the excitement from earlier gone instantly, replaced by a cold, seeping dread spreading throughout my limbs. But more than fear is anger. It pains me to hear her using my own student voice against me, and more than once I believed it was really her. She has no right.
Why don't you play with me?
Although she hasn't made a move, if there isn't a wall behind me, I'll probably take a step back. Anything to put a distance between us, no matter how small, as long as I'm out of her reach. But I steel myself, because if I do fall back, turn away from her, I'll be left with no way out. I am not dying here.
You think you scare me?
Miss Pink, don't be so rude. I'm waiting.
I'm not afraid of you, you spook. This is one Scotswoman. You aren't getting into an early grave without a fight.
I love how the Scottish came through a bit.
Come at me.
I expected she'll lunge, prove to me what a monster she is. Instead, all she gives me is a smile, twisted and gnarled. It's as if time has crawled to a stop at the sight of it. A split-second decision, and before I know it, my body shifts. Eyes closing in anticipation, hand grabbing whatever solid out on the nearby table and hurling it at her. I don't bother looking if whatever I threw hit its mark. I run, as fast as my legs can carry me. You're about to get kicked out of the library, girl. Despite my heart threatening to burst out of my chest, but in this maze of bookshelves with the whole place almost devoid of people, is there even a place safe enough I can escape to? Oh my god, I don't know! Oh, I'm stressed. We heard footsteps upstairs, which could just be her. But the door is such an obvious answer. There are people upstairs, aren't there? The weekend staff or some volunteer? There should be. Even if it's a Sunday, I'm the only one here on a special permit. There should at least be one other person manning this place. I heard them a while ago. Of course, I couldn't possibly tell them about this. They wouldn't believe me in the same manner. We didn't buy Isabella's stories until it's too late. But I can easily come up with excuses. For now, what's important is I don't end up trapped and alone with her.
Safety in numbers, as they say.
There's no hesitation in my steps as I race upstairs, ears straining for any signs of sounds of the woman appearing, jumping at me again at any second. I can still hear her behind me, the grinding of bones, her whispers as she keeps calling me back. Although it's at a distance, I don't slow my pace. Library rules be damned. Because no matter how much I pretend to be brave, the level-headed one, or the tough one, this terrifies me. This scares me more than anything. This isn't how I plan to die. But when I get to the third floor, only silence welcomes me and an emptiness that stretches out far too wide, spanning the entirety of the floor for it to be reassuring. And just behind me, somewhere at the foot of the stairs, panic rises up my throat. No other way now but up. Oh god, I hope she doesn't fall to her death. So I bolt, desperation kicking in without warning. I take 2 steps at a time, tripping clumsily over some of it in my last-ditch attempt to escape. But I know, at the back of my mind I know all of this is futile. With every footfall, with every ragged breath, with every pounding of my heart, it gets hammered to my mind. And it only becomes clearer to me once the door at the end opens, revealing the vast expanse of Luxborn's early morning skyline, and with her treading at my heels, blocking my only way out.
Stay away from me!
Ah, fuck, I killed Rebecca. A useless plea. Does she even understand a word I say? Can she even? She's calling Ash on the phone, can you see that? Is she still human in the first place? Somehow I doubt it. Because no human being will ever do this. Simply imagining what she's capable of doing to us, I never want to give her that chance.
I'm telling you to back off!
Her gait is slow as she walks forward. Each stride accompanied by a sound of breaking bones, of blood oozing from wounds that never found healing. And with every inch she draws nearer, even as I pull away to take back what little distance I can between us, the smile on her merely grows wider. A mocking gesture. For me, she may be less of a human now, but I'm pretty sure she's fully aware she's got me cornered. She wouldn't even bother making it here if she isn't. But I can't look away, I can't bring myself to, even as the heel of my shoe eventually hits the edge. End of the line. Trapped. Alone. So this is how it ends, huh? Quietly and without fanfare, surrounded by not a warm breeze but a chilly morning air. No soft footfalls on an empty hallway, but the din of an early morning traffic below, no warm afternoon light. Nothing but the cold, pungent smell of death, all underneath a dreary morning sky. How fitting. Yet, amidst all of it, there's a single voice I want to hear. Aww, if only for the last time.
Becca?
Hey, did I wake you up?
No, I left you a voicemail, so I thought... Where are you?
The one I grew up with, who always got grades better than I did without even trying, whose silly antics I have to put up with all these years, who stood by me even when things got tougher, that one person who's been a constant in my life.
Ash, do you remember that one time?
The... what?
Back in secondary, we joined a contest back then, didn't we? We had to dress you up as a girl and...
No.
What? You looked really pretty. I think I still have that picture somewhere.
Burn it. We're not talking about that again. You promised. Seriously, what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just the first thing I remembered.
So weird. Despite everything, my lips curl up into a smile, faint, a sad little thing on its own given the situation. Because even at the very end, I know I have this. The casual talk, the friendly banter, talking like how we always would as children. If only I hadn't been too selfish. If only I hadn't taken all of this for granted in favor of my feelings. Then perhaps I won't be regretting anything now.
You're being weird today, Becca. Whatever. Listen, I need you to go home right away. I'm at Salem Well right now and...
I wish time would simply stop for us. There are still a lot of things I want to say. Things I've never bothered saying out loud. Things I should have said a long time ago to someone who has already been by my side. But in this moment there's only one. Fucking say I love you.
Thanks, Ash.
One thing's constant. No, fucking say I love you!
Hold on, did I do something?
For everything.
Rebecca, what?
I'm so glad to have known you.
Wait, what are you? God damn it, Rebecca, where are you?
A soft click. And I'm closing my eyes. There's a rush of air. The sound of the world dimming around me. Like a song coming to its inevitable end.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Fuck! Oh. Every time someone dies, I get a memory fragment. You unlocked a memory fragment. Wait. Baruthiel! Okay. No, that's... I'm a bit blown up. I'm a bit flustered right now. Sunday, October 30th. Trapped and with nowhere else to go, Rebecca called the one person who always had a special place in her heart, all to say thank you, if only for the last time. Should I play it again and make her survive? I don't know. Fuck. Okay. I'm gonna save, and then I'm gonna do that again and choose the door. And I'll let you guys decide which ending you want. If you want Becca to survive, or if you want Becca to die, okay? For me personally, I want everyone to survive just because that means that I won. But obviously we know I didn't win because I've already killed Zach and Rebecca. But I guess technically I already made Zach survive, so I might as well do Rebecca as well. Yeah, fuck it, go on then. I'll save anyway. Welcome back. Head for the door. If there's one, it is out of this room, out of this place, as far away as anyone can get from her. I can think about the rest of what I can do after I'm outside when there are other people I can ask for help. When she's not chasing after me like this. There's no hesitation in my steps as I race for the restricted sections door, head downstairs and barrel straight for the library's exit. Towards safety, in a desperate bid for my life, library rules be damned. I can no longer hear her behind me, but I'm not taking any chances. A breath almost escapes me as I near the door. A little more, when out of nowhere a library cart careens from a blind corner and slams into my sides. My back hits the floor with a hard thud, the impact completely knocking the breath out of me. The copper tang of blood gradually spreads over my tongue as I fight to bring my bearings back. I force myself to move, even with the excruciating pain coursing through my limbs. The exit's almost there, if only I can... But there's no moment's respite. The next thing I know, there's a heavy weight atop me and cold digits slide around my neck, tight like a vice, pressing closing in, leaving me gasping for air. Through my blurred vision, I can only make out the hateful gleam, the spite in her eyes as she looms over my body and her grip on my throat grows tighter. Desperation kicks in. My nails dig into her wrists as I struggle against her firm grip, trying to pry her fingers away.
Let go. Let me go.
Keep the slide by moving the mouse in the arrow's direction. Oh. What? This is weird. This is really weird. I don't think twice. My limbs are moving on their own before what I did could fully register in my brain and my lungs could recover. Behind me, she lets out a cry, sharp and loud and thunderous against the empty walls of the library. But the fear her wails bring compares nothing to the relief washing over me when I finally make it out. My knees buckle as quick escape, get out the library before it's too late. Yeah, we definitely did that. My knees buckle as soon as my feet hit the pavement, its surface cold and hard against my skin. I've only been in there for a few hours, about 1 or 2 probably? I don't know anymore. It feels like an eternity all the same. My breathing hasn't slowed down yet, and I don't expect it to after going through that. I probably look the most undignified creature on a Sunday morning right now, out of breath, disheveled, slumped here with a bloodied lip and all. But at present, I simply can't bring myself to care, even when a few passers-by start giving me strange looks. Stare at me all you want, I don't give a single shite. I'm alive, I'm safe. This isn't the end yet, but I'm safe. And inside my bag is something that could get us out of this mess. Nothing definite yet, I don't want to get my hopes up, but it's still something. If Isabella is here, I'm sure she'll feel the same. She'll even be the first one who will put her faith on it. Whatever this will lead up to is a victory on its own. Now all that's left to do is find the others, the rest of us trapped in this bloody nightmare. Right on cue, as if an answer to my previous thought, my mobile phone lets out a beep. I pick it up, simply hoping for it to be one of them. Only it's a voicemail that greets me. It's from Ashton. There's a pang of disappointment, of course, but it brings some reassurance that nothing's happened, at least one of them.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
He ends it right there, the message less than a minute long, curt and gives nothing away. I let it ease my worries regardless, and do so as he asks, because this too is another triumph for us. One less thing to worry about. There we have it. Let's read the journal entry. It changed. Rebecca was seen limping out of Luxmore Public Library late Sunday morning. Checking her mobile, a lone voicemail from Ashton was in it, telling her that they needed to talk ASAP. I'm going to leave this here. Let me know which one you would have preferred. I am going to continue with the story that Rebecca survived, even if her death was very good. Chef's kiss with her death. It was very emotional. I liked it. I will keep her alive though, because like I said, I want everyone to survive, because I want to make me feel like I won. Even if I already killed 2 people, we're just gonna skip over that. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I know this episode was really fucking long, but it was the finale of BECCAS, like, you know, what are you gonna do? Everybody, thank you so much for joining me, and I will all see you in the next video for Ash's story, and then we will finish off with Luke's story. Everybody have a wonderful week, and I will see you again on the next video. Kisses. Bye.